we have detectors that can be used for geophysics. I mean, some people say that we understand the inner core of the sun better than we understand the inner core of the planet that we live on. But one way to study actually the inner core of the Earth is to look at geoneutrinos. So, the neutrinos coming off of the interactions in the Earth, and the experiments that we have, the large neutrino experiments that we can have, could actually be very beneficial to serve, the geophysical community rather than just our own community. And then we could go a step forward. I mean, if we're going in the direction of muons, for example, at Fermilab, they're trying to create muon beams, maybe one could think of creating a facility for stopped muon beams. At the moment, the US does not have a stopped muon beam facility anymore. We had one at Los Alamos, was shut down, and now to do any one of those studies, people have to go overseas. And muon spin resonance is a very sensitive probe, especially for material science. So this is being used to look especially at superconductors, at magnetic phase diagrams, and that facility could be provided by, for example, particle physics for the benefit of broader society. So I would like to conclude then here. So I think what I try to do is to show that there's a web of connections of particle physics to other science disciplines and to society, and that web is rather broad. And none of the tools that were developed at particle physics had any of those applications in mind. It was just purely curiosity-driven basic science that it found its way into broader society. And often the path these inventions and these developments have followed was rather serendipitous, just by chance. But the value of these connections, I believe, is rather substantial. But the question is, what opportunities can be identified for expanding and strengthening these connections in a structured way that helps all of us, that helps advance science, helps advance technology, and helps benefits for society. So the reason why I showed you this quiz about with Facebook is that quite a while back, especially for particle physics, the developments that were being done by particle physics were in sync with the developments in industry. We actually pushed industries in many aspects. For example, with the silicon technology, with the development of the integrated circuits, the requirement of particle physics to make integrated circuits radiation hard gave industry new ideas. They came up with ways to enclose transistors in an IC. But and the other advantage of particle physics is that particle physics is required to bring these technologies to scale and make them work. Now, because of a multitude of reasons, that is not the case anymore. Projects within particle physics take a very long time, and there are technologies in other areas of science that have overcome us. As I said, when the LHC was written down on a piece of paper, Google didn't exist, Facebook didn't exist, and now their demands on getting access to data and transporting data over this infrastructure is much larger, much higher than what we need. So we have to take a new look at that. So what are the opportunities? I believe that there are plenty of opportunities for groups to work together, form collaborative efforts. So in the type of technology, I really think that the field has to look at partnering with other fields, like material science. I do think that we could work with the light sources here in the country to develop better detectors for the light sources. And I think we should partner up in a more coherent and a more collaborative way with nuclear physics. The same for computing and data management. There's a lot of things that we can do, especially in the area of high performance computing, where we could really benefit. Then in accelerators, I think it has been documented quite well in these 4 reports that you can find on the web. The one thing that I would like to mention is, and I'm a bit reluctant to use this word, but it's the word stovepiping. We have to break these barriers between the various science disciplines. At this moment in time, it is very difficult for somebody to work for a couple of months in a completely unrelated field, unless you have a budget code. And often that is a limitation. And that I think has to change. And similarly for facilities, I think we should explore really if joint construction of facilities that we have demonstrated already that they're very good and can cater to a very broad community, how we can expand that. So in conclude, then I would like to say that the time has come really to articulate, in a better way, these overarching opportunities for us to work together. And I think, 2 ways that I would like to see is really the formulation of joint strategies to address technological challenges, but joint strategies beyond one scientific discipline. And so really the creation of these multidisciplinary, multi-institutional research programs. And I think, together we are stronger. Thank you.
Questions?
I can't help but ask this question since I had my hip replaced last December. So how does the ion implantation help titanium have better affinity to bone structure?
I'm afraid that I cannot answer that question, but there are 2 issues there as far as I understand. One is the wear, of the titanium surface, and the other one is actually to have less friction between the 2 surfaces. Why nitrogen, in titanium gives you this result? I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
Your voice.
Can you comment on the recent article from the New York Times about private funding for research, the billionaires funding big research like this, and whether that is good or useful or not?
That is a very interesting question. I personally believe, there are two aspects again to this. To have private industry fund research, I think is a good thing. What I do not really like is then that you're beholden to the private donor. I really think that, and this is a question for us as a nation, I really think that it is the responsibility of the government really to value, to decide how much value they want to put in the development of new technologies, in the development of new instrumentations, be it basic science or applied science. In that sense, I think that the Europeans are doing a much better job of it. If you look at, in Germany, for example, you have these Fraunhofer Institutes. These Fraunhofer Institutes get a chunk of their money from the government. And what they then do is they team with industries and they team with universities to come up with new ideas, new technologies that advance, whatever problem they are addressing. Be it, again, applied science or fundamental science or very pragmatic. And, I think that here in the U.S., we are really desperately lacking some kind of initiative like that. The other thing that I want to mention is if you look at the European community, they have these 4 to 5 year, frameworks, and the next one for the next 5 years is called Horizon 2020, and that is run by the European Commission, where Europe decides, what the emphasis should be in terms of investments in, basic research, and in this particular case, very applied research. And they are putting, you can look it up, you can Google it, they are putting $200 billion in as an investment, as Europe, as an investment in the development of infrastructure that will really move Europe ahead.